his highlight reel is so wild. Like his fight, you see his fight with Jason Wilness?
No.
Pull up Pereira KO's Jason Wilness.
Is kickboxing?
Yeah, Jason Wilness was world champion. Jason Wilness is like top of the food chain, elite kickboxer.
Jeez, what power that Pereira had. And now Pereira going for the with a leaping knee. Oh, no! He's done it!
Alex Pereira quite possibly has all the chances to soon write his name down in the history of mixed martial arts. The career of Brazilian Poatan is filled with constant battles and conquests, and one can say that it reaches its peak. After conquering the middleweight gold not that long ago, the monster from favelas is about to put skills on full display to obtain the UFC Light Heavyweight Championship. And considering that, we present to you 10 moments when Alex Pereira shocked the world. Please don't forget about the likes, comments with 4 words, and subscribe to the channel. Here we go. Number 10. Marcelo Cruz. As strange as it may sound, but the first fight of the day is the second one in the MMA career of a formidable Brazilian. In January of 2016, after a failed debut in mixed martial arts, Alex Pereira had a second attempt to break into this sport, as he clearly knew that by that moment he had an incredible striking base. At Jungle Fight 85, Poatan clashed with his countryman in the octagon. Those who remember Alex in 2016 most likely have a flashback right now because of his signature walkout to the octagon. Focused look, boxing combinations, and a bow shot with a typical scream. These are the attributes that accompanied Pereira in his arrival in the world's best league a few years later. Speaking about the fight, it made an impression that Poatan, fueled with a desire to bounce back from a failed debut, entered the cage with only one intention: to kill. Nothing could stop a terrifying Poatan on that night. Not the feints in the stand-up, nor the clinch or wrestling. Absolutely nothing. He entered the octagon with a clear goal to come out on top as soon as he can, and he did it in the best way possible. Already on the 4th minute of the first round, a couple of heavy shots from Pereira pillarized Marcelo Cruz to the ground, due to which he was unable to continue.
Agora é questão de tempo. Vai batendo. Firme com vontade. A esquerda desligou.
A great and mostly important exemplary performance that let everybody know that his future in the sport was already predetermined. Number 9. Simon Marcos. Closer to the end of 2017, Poatan used an opportunity to contest the Glory middleweight title against a famous Canadian. By that time, Alex was no less skillful in this craft than many elite athletes, and with every subsequent bout, he showed his mastery more vividly and clearly. By the way, Simon Marcos was a rather great guy as well. He beat many of the best kickboxers on his way, including Israel Adesanya and Artem Levin, which made this fight with a huge and powerful Brazilian even more intriguing. Despite the difference in experience, Alex moved around the cage like a seasoned veteran right from the very beginning. Or more so, he believed in his game plan so much that he didn't take his eyes off the ball even for a second. From the very first moments, the Brazilian began to pressure Marcos to such an extent that a poor champion couldn't even take a breath without feeling a threat, hovering over him like a thundercloud. Pereira did not let Simon go anywhere, and in the second round, Marcos got knocked down from a missed shot,
Body kick. And down goes Marcos. That is a knockdown.
which happened to be his point of no return. After that, Alex's shots began to reach the target more frequently and with more impact, and the pauses between became way shorter. Such a convincing performance couldn't go unnoticed by the judges, which meant a long-awaited victory and championship gold for Alex Pereira. Number 8. Thomas Powell. Now we will talk about the time period when the Brazilian Poatan returned to the world of mixed martial arts. After beating Marcelo Cruz, Alex earned another win in MMA, after which he postponed his journey for 4.5 years. As soon as it was revealed that Pereira wanted to return to fighting, the LFA League gladly welcomed him on November the 20th of 2020. And although Poatan was still under the contract with Glory, it didn't stop him from doing what he wanted. You might have noticed that we didn't say a word about the Brazilian's opponent. Let's fix that. Thomas Powell, who had a record of 4-4, expectedly couldn't show anything impressive in the fight with Pereira. The American's desperate attempts to take his opponent down couldn't save him from Poatan's signature left hand. And the very first round happened to be the last one for the guy. It was one of the wildest knockouts in MMA because it seemed like Alex didn't put that much power into his shot, but still sent his opponent to the Shadow Realm. Number 7. Jason Wilness. As we already know, at the end of 2017, Alex Pereira became the new middleweight champion in Glory, and the Brazilian's win of the coveted title in the best kickboxing organization marked the beginning of one of the most dominant and ominous reigns in the history of the sport. The reason for that, of course, was the fact that victories were followed by victories that oftentimes ended with knockouts of such stunning caliber that average fighters would consider one of them as the highest point of their careers. And we are going to talk about one of such defenses. In fact, these two have already met a few years earlier, at the times of a green and inexperienced Poatan who was just at the beginning of his path to domination and destruction. Back then, Wilness beat Alex via decision and climbed the rankings ladder. But when the Brazilian gained experience, got the needed amount of bumps and ultimately reached the top of the industry, it was time for a payback. We will try to put it as mildly as possible. In the long-awaited rematch 4 years later, Alex Pereira turned his opponent into a cold and motionless body. It wasn't even the middle of the round when the Brazilian dropped Wilness down with the very first high kick. With the same attack, he cut the guy's left eye and let him know that it would be all over pretty soon. Well, and that's exactly what happened. After the referee counted to 8 and resumed the fight, Wilness's face bounced off Pereira's knee with a thunderous crack. An incredibly brutal and sound win for the middleweight champion.
Now Pereira go for the finish! What a leaping knee! Down twice is Jason Wilness!
Number 6. Donegi Abena. After 4 very successful and convincing title defenses, Alex Pereira figured that it was starting to feel tight in the middleweight division. Expressing his desire to move up in weight to contest the light heavyweight title, he received an offer from the organization which he accepted with no hesitation. His next opponent was a Dutch Surinamese who was ranked number 2 in this weight class, and the interim belt of glory was put on the line. The age difference between the athletes was 11 years in favor of Alex because the Brazilian was at his very peak and dominant form, which didn't promise Donegi an easy night out. Throughout 2 rounds, Pereira was slowly but surely getting through the defense of a young talent, catching him with heavy and bothering attacks time after time. Such a measured and calculated approach worked perfectly against the Surinamese prospect. Abena, in the literal sense of the word, fell apart in front of our eyes when it was time to go out to the 3rd round. Because after the middle of the fight, at first he got knocked down with a couple of Brazilian bombs.
With a left hook, Abena eats a knee now, trying to hold on. Can Poatan put him down?
And then, after the referee counted a couple of seconds, couldn't withstand Poatan's onslaught, who ripped his head off with a deadly left hook. Thus, Alex Pereira became the first kickboxer in Glory history who managed to become the double champion. Number 5. Artem Vahitov. Conquering the interim championship seemed to be not enough for Alex's ambitions. That's why after having another defense in the middleweight division, he moved up in the light heavyweight again to share the ring with the legitimate holder of the undisputed championship. It was the Russian Artem Vahitov, who was on a streak of 5 successful defenses and looking to have a 6th one against an unshakable and always dangerous Poatan from Brazil. The title fight between these guys was so dynamic and spectacular that even despite not having the fans due to the lockdown, one could feel the growing tension and temperature even through the screen. fighters were always taking risks, not being afraid to lose consciousness and a limb, as on that night, their desire to come out on top prevailed over health concerns. The fight went the entire distance to a decision, during which Alex Pereira and Artem Fahitov gave everything they had and displayed all the beauty of their arsenal. Either way, there is only one winner, no matter what anybody says or thinks. And to many's surprise, the opinion between the judges happened to be different. This clash was really close, but we think, as well as many other people, that the Brazilian Poatan did more to get the desired result. Throughout the entire time, he was searching for a finish and always tried to catch the Russian's chin. In the end, the majority of the judges thought the same, and the referee raised Alex's hand as a sign of a triumphal victory.
Light heavyweight champion of the world!
Now the Brazilian was becoming not only the double champion with an undisputed and interim titles, but a true king in glory's two weight classes. Number 4. Sean Strickland. Next we have a clash between Poatan and the current middleweight champion of the world's best league. By July of 2022, Alex Pereira already got on the UFC's roster and broke into the top 15 of the weight class, which at that time was ruled by the last stylebender. Having a streak of 2 victories inside the promotion and 5 in the overall record, the Brazilian went up against the American, who was ranked number 4 and had a resume of 25 wins and 3 losses.
You know, man, I don't even know what I'm going to do. I never walk into the plan. We'll find out. I don't really go in a game plan. I mean, obviously, if I go in there and he starts hurting me, yeah, I'm going to take the coward's way out and try to wrestle. But, like, you know, hopefully I could stand and bang with this gigantic, scary Brazilian.
I'm focusing on the win. You know, this is MMA. Anything can happen. I'm prepared for everything, you know. If I could pick, actually, I would like to have a win on a decision so I can showcase all my skills, you know, on a victory that I'll leave no doubt that I'm the winner.
Who would have thought that a year later, everything would go in a completely different direction? But anyway, on the night of July 2nd at UFC 276, Alex Pereira knocked Sean Strickland out already in the middle of the first round. One precise shot was more than enough to break the American's chin. Number 3. Israel Adesanya, kickboxing. We finally got to the most significant stages in the career of Alex Pereira. In this section, we will talk about the fights with Izzy in kickboxing and how the Brazilian sent Adesanya to try a different sport, mixed martial arts. The first fight between these guys happened a rather long time ago. A rising star in this industry and a local champion in the face of the beginner Brazilian nightmare just defended his belt against Junior Alpha. After a short period of time, Poatan used an opportunity to sign the contract with the best organization and become part of its roster. While Adesanya was already competing in glory, however, he didn't set the world on fire. With the arrival of Alex Pereira in the Premier Kickboxing League, the organization decided to put these guys against each other. Throughout the given time, fighters showed true beauty in terms of striking technique and fight IQ. We don't lie, their first fight was a true show, because the initiative was constantly switching hands between the Brazilian and the New Zealander, and both athletes were trying to get a spectacular finish. Adesanya was more favorable when he attacked and worked as the first number, while Pereira looked way better with his counters. After these shootouts, the fight went to a decision, and Alex happened to be the winner, though controversial one as it seemed to everybody back then. The rematch, in which the last stylebender was especially interested, took place a year later, and frankly speaking, nothing promised a good fight for Israel Adesanya right from the very beginning. Let's start with the fact that the fight happened on Poatan's territory, on Brazilian soil, and the fight itself was unfolding in a way that Adesanya happened to be not ready for what awaited him in the future. Despite some success in the first half and almost scoring a finish, Izzy's gracious technique did not account for the fact that Poatan recovers abnormally fast. After an exciting sequence in the second round with a standing knockdown, fighters had a break. Everything gradually moved towards Israel's victory. At least that's what many people expected. But reality hit them with no warning. Already before the start of the third round, Poatan was fully ready to continue like nothing happened. and his intention could be seen from a mile away as the Brazilian bounced back and literally flatlined the Nigerian with his famous left hook from hell, becoming the one and only fighter on this planet who managed to shut the lights out of the last stylebender in his professional career. Number 2. Jan Blachowicz. In the second place, we have the Brazilian's debut in the light heavyweight division as the one he had in kickboxing a few years later, but this time it happened in the world's best league. By the end of July 2023, Paulston continued to impress each and everybody with his crazy activity. In April, he suffered his first loss in the UFC against Israel Adesanya, and now he moves up in weight to conquer another title of the major promotion.
You know what I mean? He never questioned, you know what I mean, his managers, George and Ed Suarez, got this fight booked for him. And in a certain way, if maybe had asked him before, he would have said that he's happy to go fight straight for the belt. But on the other hand, being able to fight young is a very good test for him. It's a good way for him to prove to everybody that he's ready to fight for the 205 belt and that he also belongs on the weight class. So he's about to turn 36. He don't have too much time to be playing around, but on the other hand, it's a good way for him to start with the right foot on that weight class.
If some of you don't know, Jan Blachowicz is also a former UFC champion who recently tried to get back in the title picture. He happened to be the one to welcome Alex Pereira in a new weight class and was supposed to show him the difference between these divisions. At least in the public's opinion, but in the end, it was Pereira who showed the poll that there are levels to this game. He won via decision and successfully put his name among the top fighters of the light heavyweight division.
I feel very good, you know, when we like against a great war, and you know what I mean, with a big history, former champ. But the team did a great game plan to come to Utah 2 weeks before, and then so it happened. We're happy.
Number 1. Israel Adesanya, MMA. To be honest, who immediately guessed that this fight was going to be at the number 1 spot? The most significant achievement of Alex Pereira, beside his status of a double champion in glory and being a Hall of Famer, is the rivalry with the last stylebender that crossed from kickboxing to mixed martial arts. After Paulston kind of pushed Adesanya out of kickboxing, the latter went on to conquer the mixed style and did it quite successfully. Israel became the undisputed UFC Middleweight Champion and cleared out the entire division. However, he wasn't as lucky in the light heavyweight debut with the same Jan Blachowicz, but at least inside his weight class, the New Zealander had a great showing. And in 2021, when the Brazilian arrived in the main promotion, the MMA community instantly became worried about the middleweight champion. Pereira needed only 1 year to reach the top 5 and claim his rights on fighting his old acquaintance.
I see this being a very hard and difficult fight. Maybe the hardest fight that I ever had. Israel, gotta give it to him too. He's a great champion, he's a great fighter, he have a great story, but now it's my time to shine.
It's a great opportunity for me. I think I've done everything. You know, I want to be here, I want to be a champion, and I've said a lot. All I want to do is fight now.
By the way, this case is unprecedented and the most unique one in the history of professional sport. 2 fighters that started their rivalry in kickboxing had 2 fights where both times a huge and terrifying Brazilian was the winner. Israel went to conquer mixed martial arts and soon reached the top of the food chain. After some time, that very Brazilian decided to follow the steps of the guy he already beat twice and who is recognized as the best middleweight of modern times. And not only did he come after him in MMA and replicated his path, Alex Pereira shocked the whole world of mixed martial arts with his performance. Paulston got close to knocking Izzy out like nobody else and beat him, but the knockout appeared to be technical, though the victory was no less satisfying.
I feel so good. Been training all my life. I worked so hard for this. It was written. Sorry for everybody that I had to post some stuff. Do a little bit of trash talk this time, but was healthy. But I had to get on his head to get on this fight. Well, it was a very hard fight, but just like Glover said, I was going through a fight every day at the gym. I was going through 5 rounds all the time. For everybody that said they couldn't do 5 rounds, look what I just did right now. I'm ready for the next.
What are Alex Pereira's chances of beating Jiri Prochazka and becoming the light heavyweight champion? Leave your opinion in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you won't miss the new videos. And of course, hit the like button if you enjoyed this one. See you soon.